Grand Rising, guys. To the ancestors known and unknown, Ashe. To the gods known and unknown, Ashe. All the praise, all the glory be to the Most High. You know, over the last couple of days, something that I've just been really thinking about is, we hear it all the time that that the United States is the greatest ally to Israel, right? And that's without a doubt, without a doubt. But what I lack to see is how Israel is an ally to us. Actions speak louder than words. And as far as I can see, as far back in history as I can go, Israel's actions has never really benefited the U.S. Yet the U.S.'s benefits, the U.S. is forced to benefit Israel with so much at the taxpayers' cost, of course. Ally. What's an ally? The definition of ally was what? It's people that come into agreement through marriages or other things. It's allies. It's alliances formed, right? Mostly through marriages and getting in bed. Well, according to the world, I might not be the wisest person because I didn't choose to subscribe to the indoctrinated Rothschild, school system, the colleges and degrees and this and that. It's man-made. But one thing I do know is I know people, right? And if we were to generalize the state of Israel, right? If we were to generalize that as their actions as a person, they'd be a narcissist. And I know all about narcissists. I know all about their tactics, their lies, their gaslighting, their manipulation over their emotions. I'm well familiar with that. Unfortunately, I've been surrounded by them most of my life. And so I've become quite familiar with them and their tactics, right? And Israel resembles quite remarkably quite a lot of the same characteristics as a narcissist does. Israel's greatest ally. Greatest ally. We're about to complete a cycle, a 10-year cycle. In 2016, our great president, Obama, one big-ass mistake, America. This great president decided to sign a 10-year agreement to give Israel, what was it? How much was it? I think it was like 38 billion. $38 billion. 38 billion with the B of taxpayers' money to our ally that helps us so much, provides so much for us, our kind and generous, reciprocatory connection with Israel. 333. What's interesting is, in 2023, we gave them, 3.8 billion alone, right? And out of that 3.8 billion, half of a billion, so that's 500 million. 500 million went to their Iron Dome. And the protection of Israel. I watch videos of, Netanyahu thanking Trump, for all the weapons. And I hear Trump talking about how Benjamin's always asking him for all this stuff, and some stuff he doesn't even know what they are. But what does he do? Just gives it to him. Narcissist, gaslighting, picking fights, being a bully, picking fights with other people, gaslighting, altering facts, changing the narrative, controlling the narrative, suppression of information. Oh wait, that's right, but information and knowledge, intelligence, that's what we get back in return, right? Right? Oh, wait. I wrote a whole list. I have a whole list here of things that we get back in return for our support of Israel. It's what, oh, this page is blank. Oh, that's right. Because they don't do shit for us. They pick fights, and they expect us to back them up. You know what's funny? It's funny watching Benjamin Netanyahu's balls shrink back up when he realizes the U.S. isn't supporting him anymore. Oh, he's shaking because the world's waking up. The world isn't following his lies. The world isn't following his false narrative. It doesn't matter how much you control the narrative. It's a false narrative. It's not the truth. I don't know if the truth has ever came out of that man's mouth. He would probably roll over if he did. Or be pushed out. You know, our biggest ally. Let's talk about our biggest ally. You know, up to date, all up current, we've given Israel 174 billion with the B of taxpayers' money. 174 billion. But let's look at the war in Iraq, right? Let's look at what happened. Let's look at what support our greatest ally sent us at that time. Oh, oh yeah, it was nothing. Every country in the UN sent us troops. Yes, Israel wasn't in the UN at the time, right? They weren't in the UN at the time, but they had all of our money. They had a military provided from us, supported by us. Now, why didn't they support us then? Every other country did. Oh, no obligation. They didn't have an obligation to. Oh, that's funny. You know, allies. You know, since when do allies attack each other's ships? Oh, that's right. They want to suppress that information and knowledge. They want us to forget about how Israel attacked our ships, killed innocent Americans. We're supposed to forget that. The acts of our allies. But we're supposed to remember all the lack of fucking support that we get? Oh, come on. A joke. A laughing disgrace of an ally. You know, what do we get in return? What do we have? What similarities do we have? Well, we suppress information and knowledge. We censor it. We arrest whistleblowers and we label them as traitors. Torture tactics. What do we share? What do we share with Israel? What do we have in common? Not good things. You know, spying on our people. You know, it's interesting. We're supposed to be a Christian nation, right? We're supposed to be a Christian nation. Well, every Christian nation in the past kicks these people out of their country. And why? Because of what they're doing to us right now, to this day. Systematically taking all of our land, all of our wealth. Look at BlackRock. Look at the society we're living in now. How many people actually live in a house? How many people actually own the houses that they live in? You know, mortgages, interest rates, those never existed in Christian nations. Those exist to remove all ownership from the true owners. And give it to who? To our allies? And what happens when they get our stuff? Look at what they do to the people that open their doors to them in a time of need. Look at how they're treating them to today. They were given an open door and they claim the house is theirs. They claim the land is theirs. And every year that goes on, they take more and more and more. The irony of that too, though, is the United States. Every year we celebrate our independence, but every year until Trump came into action, we gave up more and more of our basic rights and freedoms. Yet we celebrate the freedom that we have. Make that make sense. Now, what do we learn from Israel? We learn how to blackmail. Well, but what else? Why else were they kicked out of all these other nations? They were kicked out because they control them monetarily, right? They just control, and they take all the wealth. They spread gay agenda, trans agenda. You know, they promote these things. And they would tell us that we're supposed to love and care for everyone. And yet behind closed doors, they talk as anyone that's not them is nothing. They have the right to sacrifice them. They have the right to take away their wealth. God commands them to. Really? What God is that? Doesn't sound like a living God. Doesn't sound like the God that I fucking know. Sounds like a dead God. You know, United States of America? Where? Where? How many of our congressmen and senators, how many people running our country support Israel? Either ignorantly and blindly, or knowingly and traitorously. Which is it? You can't serve two masters. We can't be a Christian nation and support Israel. That's not possible. That's blasphemy. God's chosen people to do what? To bring destruction? To bring enslavement? Chosen for what? Chosen by who? Or was it self-appointed like his name, Netanyahu? You know, it can't be the United States of America if the rules that if everything that we try to pass, we have to think about how it affects Israel. If we're thinking about everything about how it affects Israel, whose best interests are we putting first? I fully support America first. And not simply just because I don't support Israel, but because I don't support my money going to do anything else to help other people when we watch our own people suffer. You know, take care of ourselves first, then we help others. How can we help others by shooting ourselves in the foot? How does that help us? How does that benefit us? Now, where does the money go to? We don't need a big government. You know, it's confusion is how things get. It's confusion. It's these committees and those committees and these ones and these ones. And no one knows what this one does and where this money goes and where that goes. And it's confusion. So much confusion. Let's go back to simplicity. Checks and balances. Why did we ever get off of that? Fiat currency. Why did we ever get onto that? Oh, that's right. So they can steal everything from us. Legally. And by who? Who's passing these bills? United States representatives or Israeli representatives? What masters do they serve? What master do you serve? Those are the questions we should be asking.